everything.
In that case, women are only good as spies because they will not be able to overpower the attack. They will not be able to physically compete with the attack.
You have not met some of the women I train with. Trust me, they will overpower any guy.
No, not any guy. Not a guy that also knows the same,
not an equally trained
the same
man.
martial art.
Okay, fair point.
Not necessarily
Like,
power and weight.
We don't need to go far. Look at football. Football, men are vastly overpowered when it comes to football in comparison to women. Like if a man and a woman they were trained in the same way, I think at the end of the day, the man will be
Yeah, of course, definitely.
will win the fight if they were.
The only physical sports in which women are sometimes better than men are long-range swimming and in terms of gymnastics or flexibility or stuff like that. Long-range swimming is because women have a higher amount of fat in their body, so they float better. Men sink.
You trying to say women are fat?
No, but they in long-range
Yeah, I
swimming
understand.
they can be better than men. It is
okay.
true.
Okay.
But those are the only ones. In the rest,
But-
men just
okay.
win.
Physically, we understand there's like a biological
yeah.
reality to
Definitely.
it. But what about mentally? What do you think?
Mentally, it's harder to say because there are certain jobs that men prefer and certain jobs that women prefer, and I would say it's it has a lot to do with the
No.
preference.
Steps out.
No, you have to come back. It's okay.
There are certain preferences different preferences that they have, and sometimes, for example, in the West, they kind of try to almost force women to take certain jobs. They make a quota. Okay, we need to have a certain amount of women in this job, which I don't actually agree with. I think if women are good enough for the job, they should be encouraged and they should go for the job. Fine,
Yeah.
perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be like we have this number of people who need to be women. It should not be like that because it's not meritocracy.
Do you think that the preferences that women have for certain jobs are uniform? As in, like all women have these certain preferences?
Definitely not.
Okay.
But there is a bigger probability that a woman will prefer this job than a man will prefer it.
Okay, as an example, what?
Okay, as an example.
Give us an example.
Let's give an example in medicine. Women are usually more likely to be nurses than than to do complicated surgery on complicated operations. You know what I mean?
Okay, and that
Men are
is-
usually more likely to take those jobs, those more stressful jobs.
Do you think that it's because men can deal with stress better than women, or is it because of the overarching patriarchal system that gives those
What do you
jobs?
think?
What do I think? I think that it's. I don't think that. I cannot say anything in terms of whether or not a general population of women want less stressful jobs. I cannot say this. I haven't met all of the women in the world.
Oh, of course.
Right? But in terms of the patriarchal system, I do believe that it can work in such a way because there are men who have this idea. Particularly the ones that provide the jobs. They do think that actually it would be better if we give the job to a man.
To a man and a woman.
Maybe that thought is slowly dying out nowadays in 2019, but before.
I think,
can
in my
definitely
opinion,
see that
I think
was
if a woman truly proves herself as worthy of a certain job, it shouldn't matter if it's a man or a woman. It shouldn't matter at all. But I think those people who choose the people for the job also have the right to, to go for the bigger likelihood that
Because-
a woman is going to be better or worse for a certain job than a man. They have that, the freedom to do that. But I think they should give them a chance.
Yeah, of course. Because even the person who wrote the code for the United States to go to the moon, she was a woman. The code was as tall as her. The person who created that picture of the black hole that we were all looking at a few months ago, a woman as well. Of course, with the team of other people as well.
Who
But
took the picture?
I don't know if she took the picture or she was the one who
I don't think
who
she
created
took the
code.
picture. It was probably a picture taken by satellite or something like that. I don't think it was
by
a
the
person.
satellite, but I think she was the one that created the code or something.
Yeah, fair
like
enough,
that.
fair enough. That's possible.
So this is why I'm always careful whenever it comes to just giving someone a job based upon whether they're a man or a woman.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Check out this one.
We should be skeptical of that. It's
Of
true.
course,
We should be
100%.
skeptical of that. It's okay for you to assume something on a person when you see the other person, but
Yeah.
you should give the person a chance to disprove you in case, because you can always be wrong. You know, for example, if I look at two guys, one of them is really big and muscular, the other guy is much smaller. I will assume that the bigger guy will beat the smaller guy if they go into a
can only
fight.
assume.
But it's exactly.
But we've always
There's
seen,
a bigger
we've
likelihood.
We've seen Tom and Jerry. We've seen Tom and Jerry.
That's a good example. Yeah, Jerry always wins, man.
Yeah.
Even though Tom is bigger and stronger.
Yeah, exactly. Outsmarting people, it can happen for both men and women. But I have a question for you. Because the men and women debate, it's boring, it will be repetitive.
Yeah, it's very open to interpretation. It's very open to different factors.
What do you think about the concept of gender fluidity?
Gender fluidity. I disagree with it.
You disagree? Okay.
I don't
Why do you
agree.
disagree with it?
Okay, why do I disagree with it? Where should I begin about gender fluidity? I know people who are actual transgenders, who have made the transition.
From man to woman or woman to man?
Both.
Oh, okay.
I actually know both. I know they did not do that because it's glamorous or because they wanted popularity or because whatever. They did it because they actually really felt out of place in their body. Mm-hmm. Now, the people I met are not overjoyed by it because they do know that they made a change in their body. They were not born that way, but they made a change because they feel in a different way. They just feel out of place in the wrong body.
It's very difficult to take that back.
Yes, it's impossible to take it back now. It's a no return ticket. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a very big gamble if you are going to actually feel good about it or not, if you are going to actually be able to accept yourself as a new person. Now, it's a very big responsibility that comes with that choice, and I think it should be taken very, very seriously. Only in very specific cases, if the people truly are really, really discontent with the way their life is, they should be allowed and should be eventually encouraged to do the transition if they truly feel that way. But I think it's a very big responsibility. It's a no return ticket if you actually do the operation. And gender fluidity seems to me like this way of glamorizing it, and I don't agree with it. I think people should be able to have the choice. But if we just allow 5-year-old boys to dress as girls and everybody will just call them a girl from then on, and then they want to make the transition at 8 years old, I just think it's too much. I think it's encouraging too much, that kind of behavior. Yeah, it's not beneficial for society.
You think that there should be a specific age limit first? Like a maximum age limit? Like, for example,
most
18.
Definitely.
Like 18 is the time you drive, 18 is the time you decide whether or not you want to.
For example, the age limit is debatable. We can come to different conclusions with it.
Because
some people would say,
how's the kid going to know? You know what I mean?
Of course. A kid should not
the
be.
kid is very easily manipulated.
Very
mind.
easily. Very easily. A kid is very malleable. One day the kid will believe I'm a girl. The other day the kid will want to commit suicide because he feels like he made the wrong choice. Mm-hmm. And that's how many transgenders end their life. Unfortunately, it's an actual fact that most of transgenders at least once attempt suicide. It's a very disheartening fact. It means it's a very big responsibility that comes with that choice.
Do you think that your gender is defined by a specific definition created by ways in which you will think and act, or your sexual orientation? Is it something that you think, or is it something that is? Is it a biological reality, or is it some way in which we think about it?
That's an interesting question. Now, if you let's use the transgenders again. Let's look into them and try to understand them better. Okay. Now, when men transition to women and they take hormones, for example, estrogen, to make them more feminine, they will eventually start acting more feminine.
Yeah.
They will eventually start doing things that would be linked more with feminine behavior. And if women, for example, even if they don't transition, but if women take testosterone, it will make them act more. Apologize.
No worries.
It will eventually make them act more like men. So it's not as clear cut as we would assume. It has a lot to do with the hormones that we have. it has to do with the hormones. That's in terms of behavior, but of course it has to do with the way you are built, with your body.
Yeah.
Whatever genitalia you have, once you do the transition, once you cut yourself, once you do the operation, it can't be reverted back.
Yeah.
If you're a woman and you do the transition to be a man, you need to freeze your. Oh, thanks, bro. How do you call the cells of the women that are impregnated by sperm? The cell. How do you call it? I forgot the name.
All I know that it's an egg.
It's like the egg, yeah. Let's call it the egg.
Let's
just call it the egg. It's probably a different name, a different scientific name, but let's call it the egg. You need to freeze your eggs. If you're a woman, you become a man, you need to freeze your eggs because you will lose them. You freeze them, and there's a big possibility that many of them will die. That's an unfortunate fact. So, in terms of men, it's even worse because once they transition, they do not produce any more sperm. Of course, it depends on the operation. But as far as I know, all the operations that change your genitalia in men make you stop producing sperm, as far as I know. But there might be nowadays possibilities of producing sperm and without having the male genitalia. But I just don't think it's possible. As far as I know, you don't produce any more sperm, so you can't have any more kids. You just need to keep your sperm. And again, there's a possibility that lots of sperm cells will die because they're being frozen and stuff. If the quality is not the greatest, they will die.
So essentially,
it's a big gamble. Yeah, you might not have children.
So essentially, do you believe that gender is intimately connected with your biological reality?
Yes.
Yes.
The biological reality
even if-
can be tampered with, but I don't think it should be tampered with too much.
Okay, so even if a man were to make the transition into a woman, it's only a woman in terms of on looking like it's on the surface, but from the inside, the hormones, the biological reality, relatively stay the same.
Yeah, you need to take hormones. You need to take hormones to change your reality to become.
Even if a man becomes a woman,
different.
he can't become pregnant.
If a man becomes a woman, he can't become pregnant. No, he doesn't have the womb to become pregnant. Of course not. A transgender cannot have children unless it's with a surrogate mother. If a woman transgender wants to have children, they will have to have a certain male to donate sperm, and he will have to have a certain surrogate mother to take the sperm with her or his, in this case, because he transitioned, egg, to impregnate the egg and to put it inside the surrogate mother. That's the only way for them to have children. You know what I mean? It's a big gamble. It's a very big responsibility.
So how would you react to people who would come up to you and say, no, that's not right. If I believe that I'm a woman, I'm a woman. Because if I think, therefore I am.
Okay.
And you cannot deny the existence of my right to choose my gender.
Okay.
How would you respond to that?
Okay. If they say I think, therefore I am, I will honestly call them out on it because that's an existential question. Whether I exist or not. I think, therefore I am. In some sense, I do exist. Now, the exact definition of that existence, that's what can be doubted. But my existence, I don't really doubt it. Despite what many people would think. Now, this is some really good stuff. How much did it cost? No, it's cool, bro. But how much did it cost?
£3.50.
You gotta buy some of that.
Not bad.
But anyway, back to the question. If they come to me and tell me, okay, I made the transition, I took the hormones, I'm a woman now. I will treat them as a woman. I will call them by the pronoun that they will choose. I will do it. I will do it just out of just out of respect for their choice.
Okay.
But in the end, they're not an actual woman because they do not function in all the ways that a natural woman works. You know what I mean? They can't have children of their own. Now, you would give me the example of a woman who is infertile, who can't have children because because the eggs are just simply can't be impregnated. It's a possibility. It's possible. Or a woman after the menopause that can't have any more children. I would say it's still different because it's a man-made change inside of your own body. Now, there are different man-made changes that can be done. You can remove the glands, you can cut the appendix, you know, the appendix. I actually did the operation of cutting my appendix, like the part of the intestines, you know, the appendix, right? The small part, because it was inflamed during part of my youth. But I would say it's very different to make one of those changes, which is almost trivial, which is basically almost like cutting your hair, and to change your sex.
Yeah.
The magnitude of the change is very, very, very different. And that, oh, thanks, bro. And that magnitude is what defines it for me. Now, once again, if a woman who was a man before but transitioned to be a woman comes to me and says, I'm a woman, treat me as a woman, fair enough, lady, this, that, all good. But in the end, there is still a certain difference.
Okay, there's a certain difference. I can follow that. Because of course I wouldn't want to be walking around and I'm a self-proclaimed Muslim and for someone to go like, "Hey Christian, I'm not a Christian. I'm a Muslim."
Okay.
I'm a Muslim. So if someone says that they want to be called
Muslim.
a woman, no, not without the
Kidding.
Of course, if there's someone who asks me to refer to him as a him, even though I think that she is a she, I'll do that.
Fair enough.
Fair points. At the moment, I have to go eat and pray. Okay, but it was nice to
Pray for my sins, man. Pray for my sins.
Of course, like you're the first one on my list.
Oh, there you go. Let's hug it out. Thanks for the conversation, bro.
Yeah.
Good talking to you.
Content over everything from your humanity. Man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV.
Your brother is in a very influential position as the leader of the opposition. Does he agree with your stance on climate change?
My brother, well, he used to be my brother, now I'm his brother. He supports Labour policy.
That's not an answer. That's a politician's answer, and you're not a politician. Give us a real answer. Does he share your position?